of you can start looking up and seeing this. The United States government, NASA, the U.S. Air Force, is sending up canisters into the atmosphere filled with chemicals.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI. A method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community and other geoengineering initiatives.
We shall propose further cooperative effort between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control.
What we're seeing now, and I first could not believe it, and I started looking at the skies, and these are not normal. They're not natural. There's something going on. I don't know who it is or why they're doing it. All I can testify is it's not natural and it's not normal. It's got to be some outside influence doing that.
I'm here to give you testimony that chemtrails, they're not contrails, are indeed real. They're spraying almost every day. I watch the clouds and watch the spraying program going on. I want to tell you that we're in very great danger from the pollution that's coming down over us. And we've been led astray by the military-industrial complex, and they're responsible for the cloud's creation and weather manipulation programs. They're dark operations.
When you look up at the sun and you see a white haze, that is aluminum floating in the air right now, and it's coming from the aircraft.
You want some figures? Okay, latest water test. Tested the rain. 13,100 micrograms per liter of aluminum in the rain in 2013. Normally, it should be zero.
If people are finding contamination, wouldn't they come here to address it?
Here, yeah.
But nothing's being done?
What?
I don't know. We're investigating this, and there's a huge concern that people are getting sick. Well, I mean, we've interviewed several people. We've been here for a week. Yeah. So you're saying there is no concern? I mean,
there is a concern.
Many people in the county have told us that they've addressed specifically with you this very issue, and they're saying nothing's being done.
That barium and aluminum is being dumped out of airplanes because they can see it in the contrails going over.
Okay. Here's my question. If there's aluminum contamination, which is very toxic, is that something that you're supposed to deal with?
If it's in the air.
It appears that there is contamination. Does that concern you? I mean, personally,
it doesn't appear to me that there's contamination.
Does it concern you if there is? You're flat out denying it?
It doesn't appear to me that there's contamination.
Okay. If somebody could prove that there was, would you be willing to look into this?
No.
So even if they did air quality tests, I mean, who would have to do the test for you to recognize that it would be a problem?
The federal government's doing the testing. They have.
That wasn't his question.
Well, they would have to do the test. There's no way that we could do the test.
The reason we asked for you is because many people told us that this information has been presented to you. Many people also believe that you're involved with the cover-up, and that concerns a lot of people.
I'm here with Kristen Megan, who's actually a U.S. military whistleblower. She has an amazing, fascinating story that we will share with you here today. Now, Kristen, can you tell us what branch of the military you were in and what you uncovered?
Sure. I was in the Air Force on active duty for 9 years, and I worked in bioenvironmental engineering. One part of that process was to approve chemicals, hazardous materials. You know, what are you using? Why do you need it? Where's it being used? And tracking that disposal. After it being brought to my attention about chemtrails or geoengineering, I used to think it was crazy. It actually was disrespectful to my line of work, because here we are trying to prevent environmental aspects and impacts and not have anybody get sick from our operations. But in an attempt to debunk, it changed my life. I started noticing things. I started noticing large quantities on the system where I would approve chemicals that did not have a manufacturer name, wasn't tied to a building. When I started asking questions, I slowly became demonized. A couple years passed after that when I asked again and people realized I was kind of being more vocal about it on social media. I was starting to be thrown into a mental institution and have my daughter taken away.
Wow.
That changed my life. I no longer view the military the same way, and I feel like after 9 years of trying to uphold an oath, I'm able to do that now. I feel they're getting ready to admit it, and they're trying to sell it to us. You know, it's kind of like they sell vaccines to us, they sell fluoride to us. You know, fluoride is a mining waste product. Well, how can we make that good? You know, put it in your water. So I think that they're trying to now kind of admit it and act like they're going to start doing it, and they've already been doing it.
Okay, she's got the snow lit. Let's see what it does. It's not dripping at all.
Okay. So I've seen these things on YouTube about the snow not melting and just turning black when you put fire to it. So I'm going to go outside here, get some snow. Get some snow. This snow I just picked up outside. I'm just packing it in. Here's the snow I just picked up. You guys saw me pick it up outside off my porch. Check this out. Dude, that is weird. It doesn't melt. There's no drops of water. That is weird. That is weird, man. Look, it just like turns black. You guys haven't seen one drip.
In the snow on Mount Shasta, pristine Mount Shasta, 61,000 micrograms per liter, 4 times the amount that is found in the soil up there. Where in the hell is this stuff coming from?
But NASA is a corporation. I want you to know that.
NASA has also conducted a research program in what they call metallized fuels. We're actually putting aluminum oxide right in the fuel because it has 2 atoms of aluminum and 3 atoms of oxygen. So during the combustion process, it releases all that oxygen and dramatically increases efficiency, but it leaves the aluminum in the air.
Alex Dimitrick explains what we could see.
Hi, my name is Rich Moore. I'm a scientist at NASA's Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia, in the United States.
What is your specific job here on this mission?
So I'm an airborne atmospheric scientist, and I'm interested in understanding how aerosols or particles that are emitted by jet engines in the atmosphere go on to evolve in the atmosphere. The people who sit here, the left seat is the mission director, and the right seat is his assistant. And what they're doing is they're monitoring the power that's drawn by all of the different racks. And so they have full control over all of the different experiments, which is really important for a NASA flying laboratory. Yeah, we're trying to keep this thing as full as possible. Yeah. And there's a lot of trade-offs. We want to minimize. I talked about the sticky gases. We worry about particles being lost to the walls of the tube as well. We try to keep the tubing lengths as short as possible for the samples we're making. And so we have a number of different probes, each targeting a different size range. So some probes may target, say, 1 micron to 50 microns, and other ones may target larger particles. So a micron is 10 to the negative 6. So we're talking about 1,000 times bigger than those soot particles that I described. And so it's a big plane. We've got instruments mounted on the fuselage, and then we also have instruments mounted on the wingtips.
Starting in 1993, it was called in vitro toxicity of aluminum nanoparticles in rat alveolar macrophages. That's a real fancy way of saying testing the effect of aluminum nanoparticles on the white blood cells in the little air sacs in your lung, the alveoli. And what they found in this 8-year study was that these particles, when you're exposed to them long enough, it suppresses the ability of your white blood cells to defend you from airborne infections coming into your lungs. So it suppresses your immune system. But they also found that these same particles, once they get into your system, they can actually go through the barrier in each one of the cells. They get inside the cells, And these particles can actually suppress the ability of mitochondria, which are in the cells that help to gobble up toxins and things that would be harmful to the nucleus and the reproduction process of the cells in your body. These processes are suppressed, and so essentially by breathing this material in, your immune system is dramatically suppressed.
They say we're going to control the weather by the year 2025. I asked them, what are they doing, spraying these chemicals on the public? I said there's a violation of United States Code 50 USC 1520, which prohibits the American government from experimenting on the U.S. citizens with chemical agents. I said that law also requires who's ever experimenting, when the federal government does it, that they have to report to Congress within 30 days. They wrote back, they said they don't know what I'm talking about. I think we have enough evidence that there's this spraying going all over the place.
We were warned about the takeover of our freedoms by the military-industrial complex by both Eisenhower and Kennedy. They're gaining traction on us, folks. We are in trouble more than just a spraying program.
All I can say is it's about time we get up in arms about this, because it is affecting our health. It's high time that we as citizens of this great country take action.
The most amazing thing is that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, and in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain.
13,100 micrograms per liter of aluminum in the rain in 2013. Normally, it should be 0.
It's raining! That's unbelievable! Oh. NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
I'm gonna make a 360. These motherfuckers went off today. These motherfuckers went off today. With all that shit. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I'm sorry to inform you, these are not commercial airlines. NASA's got a website up explaining what they are. It's fucking hilarious. They're basically telling us what we already know. The world should be outraged. Look at that. Is that cool? That's all right? No big deal? Yeah, they're just clouds. Yeah, a plane fucking made.
Contrails and chemtrails are different. Contrails dissipate within 30 seconds. That's normal. But chemtrails, when there's metallic particles in them, they stay over your head in the sky all day and spread out and completely cover a perfectly clear day. It happens all the time, right above you. But people are just driving, it's right above you, boom, right above you every day. So eventually they're going to tell us that they're going to do it. Eventually they're going to tell us, this is all going to be proven right now. Eventually they're going to tell us, the CIA, they're going to tell us they're going to do it, but they're going to tell us it's that they're going to do it. Not that they've been doing it.
That they've been doing it.
No, not that they've been doing it, but they're going to do it, and that it's going to save the planet. Dudes who own everything. Rich is low level.
Rothschilds,
Rockefellers. It was started by David Rockefeller. The CFR, the Trilateral Commission, is another one. There's these groups of unelected people, these rich people who are dictating what's going to happen. So how could anybody say that shit ain't real? If you think if you still think it's bullshit, you are 100% in a trance, and you need to get that fluoride scraped off your pineal gland. You got too much fluoride.
Do you know that more people are getting lung cancer that don't smoke than ever in history of time?
If they're spraying, he's talking about spraying, he called it stratospheric aerosol injections, SAI for short. That means spraying metallic particles in the sky. You don't think that's going to cause some kind of... I mean, people are all like, oh, fucking gluten and GMOs. And yet they don't give a fuck about the air they breathe.
Chemtrails. You know, when I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time. And so that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing, and you didn't know why. Okay? And you really didn't know why. I mean, everybody was fighting.
I've seen a lot of people address this in this issue, and some address it in anger, which is hard not to do. Others address this issue in fear. I address this in faith because I believe in the power of the human spirit. And I believe that we have a tremendous amount of authority over this earth when we exercise it. And just the power of us collectively standing up, speaking and saying, we will not participate and we will not allow this to happen. So we ask the question, why in the world are they spraying? And the answer is quite simple, because we allow it.
Right. Yeah, if we allow it, we're doing a collective suicide on a mass level, simply by not participating and saying no to this, because this simply cannot go on. I mean, this is probably one of the worst things happening, and it's probably the least known about.
You know, a tremendous awakening is happening, and from my standpoint, now people all over are waking up. So we are making a difference, and it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Again, I'm very hopeful that humanity collectively will stand up. For the first time, we have an issue that affects each and every living thing. So with that, we can create this unity where we collectively stand up and say, no, we're going to create the future that we want for ourselves and for our children. And that future, for me, includes clean water and fresh air to breathe.
Yeah, and just the right to live out our lives, because we've been systematically disempowered. And we've allowed this to happen. We've given over our power to governments, to religions, to corporations, to organizations. And now we're starting to see that we need to take responsibility so we can respond with ability to some of these things that are happening. Do what you can do. Make documentaries, spread the word and everything. And at the same time, do the inner work of transforming your consciousness to a higher level, because whatever the problem is that we're talking about, we really don't know what the answer is yet, because it's going to come from a higher level of consciousness. But we've got to slow this thing down so it doesn't destroy us before we can get to the point of transformation.
Why is that jet flying so close to our house? At last, those planes are flying where they belong.
That's right. Over the homes of poor people.
Oh, it's you, Stan. What kind of favor?
I abused my CIA powers to make that superstorm.
You made this storm? Lives were destroyed.
Now kiss, you two lovebirds, and put some mustard on it.
Aren't you straight? Yes, but I'm terrified of these people. They can control the weather.
This is a wildfire. This is a deliberate targeting of buildings with absolutely nothing happening around them. The trees are fine, absolutely fine.
But how do the trees stay with the fire being so intense it melts the cars? How do the trees not get burned if this was a fire?
This did not come from the forest fire. All the nano aluminum particles in the buildings and soil after years of drought, years of chemical trails overhead, not to mention the plasma cloud cover laid 3 days in advance of this debacle. See right here, all of the trees are fine.
Looks like we're being poisoned. They're spraying, and especially around the sun. So what I want to do is I want to get a clear view of where they're poisoning at, and why are they concentrating around where the sun is. We're going to have some answers. I'm going to do some interviews. We're going to get down to it. We look here. Here's the sun. And you can clearly see this crap that they're spraying on us. If you look in the sky, I mean, it's horrible. How can people deny this? I have no idea. This is, God don't, what do they say? God don't make straight lines. So, it's just simple things like this is horrible. Do you think that our government would actually spray shit on us? Do you trust them? Or do you
trust the government personally, just for the fact you don't know what they're doing undercover. You don't know what type of undercover hints they hiding from us from the media, what cover-ups they using. You don't really know unless they telling you, and you can't really trust what they tell you just for the fact you don't know whether it's a lie or the truth.
Right.
So from that being said,
you think all the autistic kids with the vaccines and the stuff they put in our food, and you think of all the people who have asthma that have trouble breathing, and you look up at this crap in the sky. I mean,
polluting our air. I mean, how are we gonna breathe? How are we gonna live healthy if we gotta breathe the stuff and the toxins that's being dropped down on us, and which we're being lied upon?
What do you think the goal is that they're doing it for?
Experiments.
Control the population, maybe?
Experiments, control the population.
Right.
That's what our heads think. We going crazy, maybe.
Right.
Believe what they want to believe.
Thank you so much, my friend. And think for a minute, not what you're told to think, but just open your eyes and think. And when you do that, when you open your eyes and you use your mind and you think for yourself, you may be surprised what you see. And then when you find out what you see, what will it take to empower other people, to raise their consciousness and their awareness of what's going on? Because that's what we're going to do. That's what I plan on doing. Because there's no other choice. You can't know what's going on. You can't know what's going on and then do nothing. Because then, in my opinion, if you know what's going on and you do nothing, you're just as guilty as the ones who do.
The pictures look odd. The formations don't look like normal clouds that people have seen before historically. This is another type of man-made cloud, and what we have done and what you're seeing here is we have the photographs from the times that the jet leaves the first trail as a thin, spindly trail to where they form into these different types of cloud formations. All of you can start looking up and seeing this. The United States government, NASA, the U.S. Air Force, is sending up canisters into the atmosphere filled with chemicals. We create experiments which they can see through these persistent jet contrails as they stay in the sky for long periods of time, and they can watch the experiments. The type of chemicals they are using are aluminum, barium, strontium, but there's beginning to be more and more seen across the United States and elsewhere where aluminum, trimethyl aluminum experiments to make clouds are beginning to impact us. The reason I am concerned for agriculture is that none of these experiments have any public oversight nor agricultural oversight. Our drinking water is impacted because the chemicals are now beginning to show up in our drinking water. In California, the State Department of Health drinking water tests were examined between 1970 and this year, and we found unusual spiking in barium, aluminum, strontium. The skies that you see up here, it is important to note, have a white haze to them. When crossing the United States 2 days ago, we saw this man-made produced haze all the way across the United States. There were a few real clouds, and the skies in the white haze looked a lot like this. Like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this.
Chemtrails are constantly denied by the mainstream media, even though there's official government papers and documents about chemtrails. Even NASA puts out information about them on their website. It's very strange to me that people still try to reject the existence of chemtrails. Give me a break. There's so much data online about chemtrails and what they call geoengineering and solar radiation management, or SRM. It's not natural, and it's obvious to see. All you gotta do is look up. When they're spraying in your area, the sky is filled with these chemical cocktails, long-lasting trails that spread out into a hazy mist and slowly fall to the ground. And they work in many different ways. This is a multifaceted operation. The most common chemicals in these trails are aluminum, strontium, barium, and lithium. But there are many more metal nanoparticulates as well, like copper, selenium, iron, chromium, titanium, nickel, tin, etc. They are used to control the weather, they destroy soil and ruin crops, they contaminate the water, they help fuel wildfires. Research smart dust, they're dispersing that in the air as well. They poison the population and fill us with these metals. They even spread viruses and experiment on us. Sometimes it's like, are they terraforming the earth in order to create an environment that's suitable for demons or the Antichrist? I know how it sounds, but it's just something to think about. Anyway, these chemtrails work synergistically with 5G cell phone towers and smart meters. The frequencies emitted by these towers can activate and manipulate the metals that fill our bodies. This is all part of the NWO agenda to set up a giant, inescapable command control grid that eliminates all privacy and allows the manipulators to surveil every single person on the plane at all times. Perfect conditions for the coming one world order. This technology can help control our minds, weaken us, make us sick, and ultimately depopulate the world. If there was ever a time for activists to step up in the name of freedom, truth, health, privacy, and sovereignty, now is the time. We are constantly under attack, and we should do our best to keep spreading awareness. Most people are absolutely oblivious to what's happening, so share this video and also check out other videos here on Hibbler Productions. My name is ODD, and a link to my channel will be in the description. Until next time, keep killing the programming and never sleep again. I wish you the best. Take care.
Like a doctor that's handing out red pills to everyone. What in the world are they spraying up there in the air? It's aluminum, lithium, barium. Nobody notices, nobody cares. Everyone's greedy and nobody shares. I want to help you. You'll be in.
I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see.